Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are joining through this Kafka Welfare Organization conducts this seminar or webinar for the International Day of Sports for Development and Peace on April 6th. So every year since 2019, we have been celebrating this one through the Kafka Welfare Organization by sharing the knowledge, experience from the sports managers across the world. So in this case, we are conducting this webinar on April 6th at Pakistan time, 9 p.m. Before I moving into this webinar, first of all, we would like to pay our sincere condolence. Very recently, we heard the news. It's very shocking news to the IDSDP or maybe April 6th community. Eli A. Wolf, who contributed a lot for this program as well as for the sports and the Olympic movement. He's no more with us. Very sadly, he passed away today. So that is on the April 6th. So it's a very sad moment for our community. He always encouraging us to do this job since 2013 when the International Day of Sport for Development and Peace was proclaimed together with the United Nations and the International Olympic Committee. It's a very sad moment for our community. He's a very energetic person. He always promoting the people to do different activities across the world. He is no more there, but he is living in our heart. I'm sure that we will always keep him in our hearts, and we will continue this journey. We will continue this project. And wherever you have gone, please, we pray for your soul rest in peace. Thanks, Eli, for your all help and all supports, and you are in our heart. So before I start this webinar today, actually like Kafka Welfare Organization, which is located in Lahore in Pakistan. They are a non-governmental organization in Pakistan. They are involved in many projects, especially on empowering the women through the sports activities. One of the co-founder of this Kafka Welfare Organization, Mr. Omar, also will be joining here as a speaker of this forum. And they have conducted several sports for development peace programs in Pakistan. So in this way, for the last 4 years, we have been conducting through this Kafka Welfare Organization. And earlier we had many foreign participants, but this time we made it very unique. All speakers are here from Seoul National University Dream Together Master students, plus Dream Together Master graduates. Those are the DTM alumni. So this is the very first time we are having the partnership with the DTM alumni. It's been taken care of by the Korean Sport Promotion Foundations. They came on partnership to launch this project and continue this project in future as well. So thank you very much for Seoul National University Dream Together Master students and DTM alumni from KSPO. Right, so moving forward, so we will come to the topic of this April 6th, International Day of Sports for Development and Peace. Actually, as I told you before, the United Nations and the International Olympic Committee, they proclaimed April 6th as the International Day of Sport for Development and Peace. Many people didn't know why April 6th was chosen. April 6th is the very first day of the Olympics. Modern Olympic Day was held in Athens, Greece on April 6th, 1896. So in this case today, of course, International Table Tennis Day as well. So every year, the United Nations, they changed the theme according to these world revolutions or maybe the changes. So this year, the theme for the 2023 is scoring for people and the planet. That means we have to bring the people together. So as you know, during the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, just before the Olympic Games, in the IOC sessions, the motto was modified. Earlier, the motto of the International Olympic Committee was faster, higher, stronger. Now they added to one more very important word, together. Because we are facing a lot of challenges. If we want to overcome, we have to be together. So the scoring for people and the planet. So nowadays, the biggest challenge is environment, climate change. So everyone is speaking louder about this climate change. So in this, by considering these facts, the United Nations, they have mentioned, okay, this is the theme, and we are also like a pretty much supportive for this one. Moving forward, so before I introduce the speakers of this forum, I will play the theme song that was launched in 2017. And once again, I want to recall Elie Wolf. He is the person actually made this one as the theme song for an International Day of Sports for Development and Peace. This song was produced in Sri Lanka from a very rural area. So we produce in two ways, one for Sri Lanka, one for Globe. So this is for Globe because it's all in English, and the Sri Lankan one is in a local language, but I'm going to play the Globe theme song for our International Day of Sports for Development and Peace. After that, we will start the session.
Let us play together and unite on and off the field. Lead and live your life without the care.
Take a snap with white cut in your hands. Let's make a trend. Spread to global peace and harmony.
Victory night cannot winning isn't everything. Be your best and be your greatest. Don't forget your dreams.
Accept your failures, take your time and work your way back to the top. Win is never fit the game and clean is never win.
Play together. We play together. Play together. Let us play together. Play together. We play together. Play together. Let us play together. Let us play together and unite and feel free and live your life together. Take a snap of bright cut in your hands, let's make it right. Spread the global peace and harmony.
It's a sports and beat for you. Never see. Let's make it big. It's your friends and girls to play. Fight the ground, enjoy the day. Stay focus on your passion, be confident and patient.
Peace to beat. We're born cause power gives you everything. Be brave. Or champion. Remember that you don't have any boundaries.
Just play out with me.
Play together. We play together. Play together. Let us play together. Play together. We play together. Play together. Let us play together. Let us play together and unite on and off the field. Lead and live your life without the care.
Take a snap with white cut in your hands. Let's make it turn. Spread the global peace and harmony.
Never quit, train like an athlete, winning isn't everything. Be your best and be your greatest. Don't forget your dreams.
Accept your failures, take your time and work your way back to the top. Win is never fit the game and quit is never win.
Play together. We play together. Play together. Let us play together. Play together. We play together. Play together. Let's play together.
So thank you for watching that one. So without taking more time, let me introduce the speakers very quickly. So there are 7 speakers. So there are 6 speakers on the April 6th. So there is a 1 guest speaker, and myself, I'll be moderating the session here. So the speakers are from Canada to South Korea. They are actually studying in South Korea. Therefore, that we have chosen this time because we have to make everyone available. So first of all, let me introduce the first speaker. He is the current Dream Together Master student from Seoul National University, Lawrence T. Kamukapa, who is the co-founder of Academy of Hope and sport administrator from Zimbabwe. Also, he is the Zimbabwe Olympic Committee program officer. Next speaker, Nashan Owan. He is the president of the current batch Dream Together Master of the 10th batch from Seoul National University. He's a sports journalist and content creator from Kenya. And the third speaker, she is also the current student of the Dream Together Master from Seoul National University. Her name is Taima Katamesh. She is the former national team football player of Palestine, and currently she is the football coach and manager assistant of the Palestine national team. Sarah Momen Abdel Sami. She was the president of the 8th batch of the Dream Together Master of the Seoul National University. And she is the current International Olympic Committee young leader. She is one of the IOC young leaders of 25 selected members. And she was a professional volleyball player of Egypt and sport marketing executive and media operation coordinator in Egypt as well. Another speaker, Dantra Farnita, and she is originally from Indonesia. Now she is in Norway. She actually is an expert in sports for development peace. She is very much into that. She is doing a lot of researches and readings on sports for development and peace. She is from the 4th batch Dream Together Master alumni, and currently she is working as after-school activities supervisor in Norway. And the next speaker, who is one of the founder of the Kafka Welfare Organization, who is also 4th GTM alumni from Seoul National University, Mr. Umair Asif. And the guest speaker, we always welcome guest speaker for this forum to introduce new face who is not with the Dream Together Master. His name is Mohammad Tamir. He's a physical education teacher, Rosary Sisters School, and also operations manager. He's also working closely with the Jordan Olympic Committee as a learning facilitator. And then finally is myself. My name is Gobina Sivarajan, so I'll be moderating this session. I'm working at the National Olympic Committee Sri Lanka as a marketing and media manager. So moving forward, actually in today's webinar, so we will be talk more about this sports for development and peace programs in the global south context, because if you look at these speakers, they're all from the global south part. So our area will be touching more on the global south part. So before we are moving to the questions, maybe from the moving to the questions and the discussions, so I will be covering the following parts. So one of the part will be sports for development and peace in practice. That means like what are the activities people are very inactive, and what are the innovative approaches that being undertaken or we can take for the sports for development programs. And there are a lot of organizations they are supporting, and how we can get the support. And when we are conducting some programs, we are always facing the challenges, and some can answer how we can overcome the challenges as well. The next one, we will discuss about this impact of the sports for development and peace on socio-economic conditions. Then the major part, we will discuss more about sports for development and peace. It is a tool, it is a promotional tool. Then finally, of course, when we are doing the projects, sustainability is always important. So we will be discussing a little bit about the sustainability of the sports for development program. So moving to the first topic, that is on sports for development and peace in practice and innovative approaches. Let me first invite our young leader, IOC International Olympic Committee's young leader, Sarah, I may ask the very first question at you. Could you please share some of your examples, or maybe you might have implemented or worked on some sports for development and peace programs? Can you highlight?
Yeah, definitely, yes. First of all, I would like to thank you so much for this great opportunity that you brought all of us from different places worldwide to be together on this webinar. Secondly, happy International Day of Sport for Development and Peace. I wish you all a very peaceful life ahead, and definitely I would love to thank all people that are joining us live today from different places and time zones. So before heading to the question, I just want to give a little bit of background. So according to the UN Refugees Agency, at the end of 2021, Egypt is home for more than 270,000 refugees. So heading to the question again, one of the best programs that I have been working or involved with is a program which targets African refugees in Egypt. Actually, they are African refugee students in Egypt. So basically, this project or program, they are providing the students with the opportunity to get involved and get active as a sporties, and prioritize their physical and mental health and wellness. So definitely we are touching here the SDGs goals, the sustainable goals. Goal number 3, good health and well-being, and goal number 4, which is quality education. So basically for this project, they are working on 3 main features, which are physical health through physical fitness and strength athletics training, and the second feature is the mental health through emotional balance and stress release. And before heading to the third point, I just want to say something. So according to the international studies, refugees kids are affected by displacement the most, even they going back to their home or they still down in another country, but they still have some insecurities. So back again to the third feature, which is the family network. So actually what they are doing in this project, they are trying to overcome the insecurities by their family support and working on increasing the safety and security feeling for those kids. So this is one of the best projects that I have been involved with, and definitely it's a great example for sports for development and peace programs.
Sarah, that is fantastic. Actually, you know, when you look at these refugees population in the world is, I think, one of the first 10 population in the world. Say, for an example, if you look at it, the most populated country is China, then America, India. So in this way, the refugees population in the world is huge, actually. So like what we have to do to the refugees are also like one of the vulnerable groups in the world, the largest vulnerable groups. So we have to do a lot of sports for development and peace programs. If you look at the International Olympic Committee, they are also very much into that. Like in 2016, Rio Olympic Games, the first time the refugee athletes, they marched and they took part in the Olympic Games. That is what International Olympic Committee, they have done it. As you mentioned, like, you know, how you can connect these United Nations goals also together with your programs, the goal number 3 and goal number 4, and you are very much into this physical education activities, very important. Because not only the sports, and also, you know, you have to educate the vulnerable group people so that we can make the people in the community in a very in a healthy way, like healthy in the sense not in the health, but in their mindsets and education, health, and everything together. So, Laurie, you are working with your National Olympic Committee as a program officer, if I'm not mistaken. So you might have undertaken or maybe done many projects in your organization. So could you please share some of the examples that what are the innovative approach that you have undertaken for the sports for development and programs?
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Sigo. First of all, I would want to thank the DTM, KSPO, the Korean government, as well as Zimbabwe Olympic Committee for also affording me the opportunity to be where I am right now. Well, there are several innovative approaches that SDP can take In my experience with Zimbabwe Olympic Committee, in partnership with the Norwegian Olympic and Paralympic Committee and Confederation of Sport, we have conducted several programs across the country in Zimbabwe. And this partnership with the Norwegian actually is an ongoing partnership. And also what the approach that we are trying to use here is like the bottom-up approach, whereby this involves starting from the grassroots level, going up. So we have actually touched several communities which with like the minority people that are not expected like maybe to be reached. So we have gone deep down into the rural areas of the country in terms of SDP programs. First of all, we like touched empowering women programs through workshops. These workshops were conducted across the country, and they were entitled to empower women and girls on the values of teamwork, self-resilience, issues like GBV, and also promoting the participation of girl child in sport as well. And other issues we touched on were youth development training workshops, whereby the main thrust here was to unleash the leadership in youth, provide them with life skills that can be used to transform their communities. Also, programs like Together for Inclusion, whereby we were dealing with people with disabilities, training them, empowering them with life skills lessons as well. And last but not least, one of the major issues that we also like implemented, especially last year, was that of environmental sustainability as a program that we were doing. Like we were advocating for smart city. That was the cleanup campaign, as well as tree planting partnership with schools and local communities. And we had a partnership with one of the NOGs, which was Dzikwa Trust, which provided us with thousands of trees, which we are now using. Every program that we were running would, after the program, would go for a cleanup campaign as well as tree planting. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, Laurie, is very interesting. You know, if you want to implement some of the stuff, like countries like Sri Lanka, or maybe many countries in Africa, developing countries, they cannot do alone. So in that case, like we always have to look for a partnership, like how you look for a partnership with the Norwegian government, or maybe Norwegian non-governmental organizations. Like we had an example in Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan National Olympic Committee. We had a very good partnership with the Korean counterpart. So we had a program, it's called Shoes for Hope, right? So that is one of the great approach that we can undertake, as well as like I was listening to you. You are making smart city and the tree plantations campaigns, and maybe coral replantation campaigns. So these are the things like beyond the sports, but these are the things also helping to the sports as well. So we will counter them as a sports for development and programs. So Amir, you're a very young blood. You are also working closer with the Jordanian Olympic Committee and also the schools. Could you please also like share your thoughts on some examples of innovative approaches, Amir?
Again, repeat.
Yeah, could you please share like some of the examples in addition to Laurie's about the innovative approaches to sports for development and peace programs that you are involved, or maybe you have like come across with some?
Yeah, so one approach is I admire the innovative use of sport-based program by Generation for Peace. This is non-proof peace building, non-profit peace building organization founded in Jordan. They aim to promote social cohesion, conflict resolution, and leadership skills among young people from local communities and refugees. So, and creating a more peaceful and equitable world. Their volunteers cascading model is sustainable approaches to peace building, including training volunteers who then train other in their home communities. Imagine this model has been implemented in 50 countries worldwide, making a significant impact on communities globally. So I believe that through this innovative approaches, GFP is empowering young people to become agents of change in their communities, creating a sustainable model for peace building through sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have a very good example when you were talking about Young, like IOC Young Leader is there. These kind of programs were not there before, but IOC, they have implemented because they want to produce some young leaders. They want to showcase them to the world. Their task is to involve in some sports for development and peace programs in their future, in addition to their works as well. So that is also like very great, innovative idea that the International Olympic Committee is also undertaking. So thanks for sharing with the very good thoughts. Moving to this next topic, when we are doing them sport for development programs, without the support of many parties, it can be government or non-governmental organizations, say for an example, it can be school or National Olympic Committees, national federations, Ministry of Sports or Ministry of Education, any ministries or maybe embassies, anyone, many people are there involving it. So in the case, we are going to talk about who are the people are supporting, and of course, sometimes a lot of challenges are coming. So we need to very deeply, we have to discuss about the supports and challenges that we all face. So in this case, let me once again invite Laurie. Could you please explain or maybe discuss about how can the partnership between the governments and the non-governmental organization and or maybe other stakeholders be used to enhance the impact of the sports for development and peace programs based on your experience?
Well, thank you, Sigo. This question you have brought about is very, very important when it comes to SDP, because the fact that we have to look at our stakeholders is really, really fundamental. So our partnership with government, GNOs, NGOs and other stakeholders is very, very important. It needs to be maximized when it comes to sports for development. Governments, NGOs and stakeholders have an extensive network in different countries, and also they're the ones which have the resources that can be used to reach out to more people. For example, in my country, whenever we were holding any program with the NOC, we make sure that we partner with the Sports Commission in terms of how do we reach out in different provinces. And it will be easy for us if we partner with them, because already they have district coordinating officers that can actually make our job easy when it comes to reach out the intended targeted groups. Also, the important aspect with these stakeholders is they have the access to funding streams. That is actually important if you are to achieve a good sports for development program. You need to partner with them in terms of funding. And I can say the NOC back home, they partner with the government, they partner with private companies as well in terms of for us to be successfully implementing the programs. And they can also provide expertise who are professional in the area, looking at the sports commissions that we partner with. Some of the facilitators, we take them from there and travel with them to the area that we want to go and do sport activities. So we are always together with them, which means automatically the government is actually recording everything that we are doing and also taking note of any loopholes that they can also maximize. Last but not least, they can be a good instrument for advocacy and also policy change through lobbying, because remember, the government are the authorities. whatever you need in terms of advocating for it to be changed, be it in parliament or what, you need to have a partnership with the government. So the government is actually a very important instrument when it comes to advocacy and policy. So it's something that really needs to be considered when you think of doing some sports for development programs. Thank you, Sigma.
Yeah, absolutely. That you highlighted very good point. When we do some projects, of course, the government, we have to obey the government rules and the government support. Without that, we cannot do that one. And as you said that, yes, expertise, that is very important. When you come to the sports for development peace programs, it's some of the topic like education or maybe some training programs are very sensitive. Like it cannot be done by everyone. Say, for an example, maybe like myself, Dia and Umair, we know that the value-based education program from the Football for Peace program, I think during the time they done it by University of Brighton, so maybe. So the value-based education program that the trainer should be trained and that should be preached by the well-expert person. So these are the things that we have to always consider. So let me ask the question from Dia. So what role do you see the government playing supporting sports for development programs in the global south?
This is my first time in a year to speak, so yeah, it's very exciting. Okay, so what role the government support in SDP? We all know that the policy implementation for most global south countries always take a top-down approach, which means that the implementers of SDP program at the local or bottom level, or let's say in a grassroots level, are not involved. It's always the government. Government attended international program. They know very well about sport for development and peace and its approach. But when it comes to the challenges of SDP program, for example, SDP program that improve the health of the people, that want to reach the gender equality, that address disabilities issues, which are best known by NGOs. And sadly enough, these people are not involved in a government-led policy making. What it means that is that NGOs are not self-sufficient, meaning their lack of funding, and once their funding period ends, nothing is there. So what's the most important thing? What the government needs to do in order to support the SDP program? The government should actively engage non-governmental organizations in their policy making or implementation process. Another role that I think is very important, that the government should also encourage SDP program implementation and policy in physical education subjects, which is in school. It should be taught as a part of physical education. It's not only because what I know, I used to work as a physical education teacher before I moved to Norway. And what I thought in the curriculum is only about the students being physically active or understanding the anatomy of the body. But how about the gender equality? How about the inclusion of disability people, which sums up the social objectives of sport and SDP in practice? So I think that's that is those two roles of the government that can play in a support of SDP programs.
Yeah, there, Rob, I was very keen on reading your voice here. Actually, that what you highlighted is actually, you know, many NGOs, they are coming and just doing, then after that program is done. I think that will be, we will be talking later at the end of the program about sustainability of the sports for development peace program. So in this case, you have emphasized very well that active involvement of the government. Of course, policies are there. I would say just policy, right? Like I would say even that kind of policies I can see even in my country as well, for sure. But the thing is implementation level, it's very poor. So that's because of, I should mention, maybe like a lack of knowledge among the policy implementing people, or maybe the government, or maybe they don't know like where to approach and how to work with the counterparts and all. So these are the things also must be educated among the top level people, or maybe the politicians, if I openly say. Right?
Yeah, because the government, they usually don't involve us. They usually don't involve those who works in the grassroots level. They just go to the international program, they understand STP very well, but when it comes to us, when it comes to the bottom, it's not not in the practice. So that's how it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is we can see. I think that is, of course, when we are speaking here through these kind of international forums, whoever the people, those who are holding this position at the top, they have to very keenly work on this, because this is very important for a small society and the rural area people, those who are suffering, or maybe those who are lacking in the facilities, or maybe the other things to be improved. So moving to the, these are the challenges that we are facing. Maybe maybe you can explain more about the challenge, maybe the biggest challenges that we all facing for the sports or development programs in the global South context.
So I came up with 2 challenges of SDP program in the global South. The first one is sport for development and peace, who is from the North, is misunderstood as SDP program for all the country. And the second one is the misuse of SDP for sports development. So I'm gonna explain the first point. So there's this famous SDP researcher named Bruce Kidd, who said that SDP program is an old wine in a new bottle, which means that all the people in every part of the world has actually been using sport as a form of social practice. And ever since the United Nations got involved, SDP programs design often came from the North. Naturally, there will be implementation challenges since the implementation takes place in the South. It is not designed to fit the local needs. That's the problem. When it comes to the implementation, I think it has to meet the local needs of the country, not the local needs of the people from the North. Each and every country should be involved in design and practice of their own SDP program. But I agree that at the international level, the idea of SDP should be promoted. Also, I speak Norwegian. Okay, another challenge is the misuse of SDP program. And the misuse of SDP program, of sport for development program. This is a challenge not only for the global South, but also for the global North. Let's look at the International Federation. All their objectives sounds like SDP. Gender equality, all should be included in sports, sports for everyone. Some international federation have this talk about gender equality and stuff, but in reality, they practice sport development. They focus on competition, international sports event, and elite athletes. I don't say it's bad, but when they don't practice what they say, then SDP and its program is not sustained as we see now. That's it.
Yeah, that's a valid point. As you said, like even for the international federations, or maybe the biggest organization in the world, the most of the allocations is going for the elite sports for sure. Even very recently, also like one of the biggest organizations, when I was reaching for the fundings and all, they said we don't involve with the grassroots level developments or maybe the SPD programs match. All we are investing on the elite level program. I think it's very important. The society, therefore the big international federations, they also have to allocate like a maybe like not the biggest portion, or maybe the second layer portion to the SDP programs as well. And the misuse, of course, that is happening in the global South areas. Like there are many resource people, there are many people, they are going for the that webinar and these webinars and everything. But the thing is, there is no outcome, or there is no any of the implementations, or there is no any of the active program initiations in their respective countries. They just go for as like a tour and just enjoy their trips and all, making friends, fun. So these are things that we can openly talk here as well, because we can see them. It's happening here. If we don't speak louder, then who can speak about it? So that is why we all are here together to speak out the truth, so that we can identify what are the real challenges that we all face in the global South. Umair, can you please add some more points, because you are on the ground level. You have involved in many projects through the Kafka Welfare Organization who are conducting this webinar.
Sure.
Can you share your experience, please, Umair?
As you mentioned, guys, I trust the biggest challenges facing SDP in the global south are lacking of funding, poor infrastructure, limited access to resources, and political instability. So I believe these challenges are interconnected and require comprehensive approaches to address them. But also there is a need for a greatest collaboration between between a collaboration between stakeholders. This is really important, including government, civil society, and private sector, to ensure sustainable development through sport. SDP program should also be designed with a focus on the specific needs and context of the communities they serve to ensure their relevance and effectiveness.
Yes, that's a very good point. Like, we have to identify what this particular community they needed, what is the, like, what kind of relevance to our programs and the implementations. Like, we need to identify the lacks and all. That is very important. Like, we cannot implement the programs everywhere, because some regions, they really want to promote, maybe in some countries they really want to promote the gender equality. Some people, they really wanted to promote the peace among the community. So you have to identify what is lacking in this particular region. That is also very important. So without understanding that importance, if you implement the program, so that will also going in the wrong way. Umair, you have done many projects on the ground in Pakistan. Can you explain some more things here, Umair?
Thank you, Sigo. So I think Dendra have mentioned many points regarding challenges and support for SDP programs already. So I would like to elaborate a bit more. So if, for example, I can give some examples from Pakistan, something is really missing. If I was teaching to physical education and sports sciences students in a university, and SDP movement is not part of their curriculum. Even if you ask them, do you know about sport for development and peace? And they say, yeah, we heard about sport and peace somewhere. Even once I was talking with the sports minister, and he said same thing, yeah, I heard somewhere sport and peace. So you can see, like, Pakistan's population is huge. It's more than 200 million now, and something is really missing. SDP programs are working in Pakistan, and our government, our NOC, is part of international platforms, as we have mentioned before, that they go for trainings and they have agreements with international movements and UN. But even in the university sector, there is a huge gap. People are not trained and well aware of SDP movement. Again, and there are programs working at the community level. I see a gap because the programs are designed by developed donors from developed countries, and I don't see the resonance between the local needs, as Chandra mentioned before, and the programs. Even I saw a program by British Council in Pakistan. It was working in Karachi, through football. That program is also not sustainable. It's finished after a few years. So you can imagine, like, the programs even funded and organized directly by INGOs, they are not sustainable. So sustainability is a serious issue. And because of sustainability, the SDP research is also facing some problems and challenges. If the programs are not sustainable, evaluation is also a problem. And funding is there. Also, if researchers would be able to show the impact, then maybe we will get more funding from donors. Because of different things, everything is messed up. So I hope now I see like the researchers and the programs are trying to engage local people in designing of programs, and they are doing different things. Also, the researchers, they are trying to engage local academics sometimes. I saw in some research projects. So I hope in coming time, they will modify the programs. That is the support we needed according to local needs in the different countries of global south. And also they will bring more funding, and they will give more expertise to local experts, local practitioners. And I think that is something we need badly.
Yeah, what I understand from you is like from the beginning, you know, like many of the things are missing and people, they don't understand because they are not educated. So what we can do is, as you mentioned, these are the important things must be included in the grassroots level curriculum in the education program. Say, for an example, in the global south, like even we are talking more about the gender equality because of the cultural stricts. And this is the reason that many of the women, they are not able to go and take part in the sports activities. And beyond that, like why this, like if you ask several women the question, why the female, they are not going to the field, because they feel the field is not a safe sport environment. So we have to talk more about the safe sport. We have to give the confidence to the female community or maybe the women community. So those are the things must be included in the curriculum, as you said. That's a great point. So thanks for answering for these questions. Like, well, let's move to the next point. We will talk about this impact of the sports over development, peace on socioeconomic formation. So first question I can ask from Lori, could you please explain like how can sports for development programs be used to address the social and economic inequalities in the global south? So based on your experience, you're muted, Lori, please. Unmute it.
Well, thank you, Sigo, for that. And actually, it's a very important question. And for it to be defined, as you see me right now, I believe myself, I'm a product of sports for development and peace. Looking at it, when an organization sees a gap whereby it's supposed to do some initiatives in the communities. And okay, that will be my last point. I'll touch on that one. Right, well, in terms of like the programs that can be used in various ways to address social and economic inequalities are like inclusivity, whereby SDP can foster inclusivity, which can help break down social barriers within the communities, also to eliminate things like discrimination through sports participation. And also another thing like education. As I mentioned earlier on, like we managed to use, even we are a National Olympic Committee, but we provided education aspects in terms of youth capacity development, building skills to enhance employability for youths. Also, we used it as a tool to teach important life skills like teamwork, leadership. So life skills can be applied in real life. The ones which we're teaching, they can be applied in real life so as to improve the chances of success for an individual. Also, one important aspect, which is very, very important, is that of community building. You know, SDP can be a tool for social cohesion, strengthening the relationships between individuals and communities. So looking at some countries, of course, whereby you can see that be it towards some event or whatever, be it like in my country during independence, we know we have a big football tournament. You see, communities are being brought together, team from another community, teams from another province, coming together to compete. Last but not least, let me touch base on the creating economic opportunity in terms of SDP can create employment. For example, we can have coaches, sports management, and program officer positions in organizations, actually. So, like, as I said, I'm myself a product of SDP when, like, the NOC, Zimbabwe Olympic Committee, partnered with Norwegian Olympic and Paralympic Committee to do these programs. They actually needed someone to do them, and that's why I actually got engaged with the organization and actually doing these very productive programs. Thank you, Sigo.
Thanks, Laurie, for your sharing. So in addition to your sharing, I think I can pass the floor to Dia. Can you explain how do you ensure that the Sport for Development peace programs are culturally sensitive and respectful of local traditions and the customs?
The first one is to involve the local communities, just like Laurie said, what the Norwegian Olympic Committee and Paralympic Committee has been doing with the Zimbabwean Olympic Committee, that they work together, they involve the local communities. That's the first one, so that the program will be culturally sensitive. And then the second one, there should be a community dialogue, just like Laurie said again, that there has been a lot of dialogue between Norwegian Olympic Committee and the Zimbabwean Olympic Committee. So I think that those two suggestions are very important. Local communities, they are very important. They are key members of the communities. Loris are the key members of the community in Zimbabwe. In places, for example, where they have child marriage in the community, where it's part of the culture, and you as an outsider, you as an NGO, or you as a SDP implementers, you want to address these issues. We cannot just go there and transpose SDP programs and activities to them. We need to involve the community leaders, influencers in the community to the objective of our SDP program. With this, they will feel involved and feel as they are part of the program. I think it was so interesting that Laurie said he is the product of the SDP program, because he feels involved, and that's a very good example of ensuring that SDP program are sensitive and culturally sensitive in the community. And then another one, what I mentioned before, there should be a community dialogue in the use of sports to address all the issues that is culturally sensitive, so that we can prevent an unexpected situation that happens during the implementation of SDP programs.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Let me pass the floor for the same question to Nash Owanda from Kenya. Nash.
Thank you so much, Tigo. I think when Deandra was talking, I feel like it's like she had my notes with her over there. But some of the things that she spoke about there, some of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about over here. But I like the fact that there is a bit of similarity and there's an agreement in terms of how these things are interconnected. So the first thing that I wanted to say is that there needs to be an awareness that SDP programs do not exist in isolation. They exist within an ecosystem that touches on every aspect of the community. Say, for example, there is the government involved, there's the community involved over there, there's stakeholders, there's, say, for example, the funders who are very, very important in SDP programs. So that is the first one that we can ensure, that awareness that SDP programs do not exist in isolation. The second one is, as Dia has mentioned, is the programs need to be designed with the construct of the ecosystem, in the sense of you cannot just take a concept of SDP and then come and plant it, say, for example, you cannot take it, say, for example, in Kenya and just go and plant it in Sri Lanka. you need to understand that the contexts are very, very different. There are things that we do in Kenya that are different in Sri Lanka. So first of all, there needs to be a realization that these differences, first of all, it's very important for you to understand these differences, because it's important. It's important because once you've realized these differences, then you're able to tailor make that SDP program within the environment that you want it to exist in. And then the third one, the programs need to identify the areas of conflict and work with and not against. You know, in every situation in the world, there are usually challenges, you know, say areas of conflicts, especially on issues such as the SDP. Things that are touching on the community, that things that are touching on people are can be very, a lot of conflict can arise out of it. So it's important to identify these areas of conflict and try to find a solution for them, because they play a major part on whether the SDP program is going to succeed or it's going to fail.
Yeah. Thanks, Nash. Let me pass the floor for the same question, because Sarah's voice is very important here. She is, as I mentioned you before, she is one of the IOC young leaders, right? So her voice should be heard by the whole world. So Sarah, can you add your point in addition to Dia and Nash?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I have the same comment as Nashan, that we have the same or similar notes that we took for this question. So in my opinion, I believe, like, I can say esports for development programs should be designed in consultation with local communities leaders / like young leaders, like the IOC young leaders and stakeholders, to ensure that they are culture sensitive and respectful of local tradition and costumes. So I do like the idea too from Dendra, that she said that we should have like kind of dialogue to understand the culture stuff and the traditions for each country. Also, I love what Nation said that about the, like, I cannot implement the same project in different countries because it's different from country to another country. So that cannot be happen. So we have to understand the nature of each community that we are going to and implement it depend on what they need. So this is what I can add for this question.
That is very interesting questions and knowledge sharing for this question. So without taking more time, because it's very clear, I think everyone understand what the speakers, they have shared their knowledge here. So let's move to the next part. That is a very key part of this program. That is sports for development piece. It is playing a major role as a promotional tool. It's promoting a lot of things. I think we have already discussed about youth development, women empowerment, gender equality, gender equity, environmental sustainability, climate change, actions against climate change. So many things are happening around the world. So let me first ask the question from Omar Rana. Right, so how can the sports for development peace programs be used to promote social inclusion? Because you are a person working for Kafka welfare organization to empower the women and all. So can you explain more about how you can use sports for development peace programs to be used as to promote the social inclusion and bring people from the different backgrounds together?
I think that is one of the main idea behind SDP programs, the promotion of inclusion. And as you mentioned before, girls don't get opportunity on many places to take part in sports. It could be refugees who are not getting basic facilities. So sport or STP programs are a way to engage those people. And majority of the programs have that kind of focus. Even in Canada, they are engaging to First Nation or Indigenous people through STP programs, and around the world, it's the best way to create safe spaces and engage the people who are not getting opportunities to take part in sports. For example, girls, it could be people with disabilities, it could be the refugees, people from poor backgrounds, low earning backgrounds, and minorities. religious minorities or ethnic minorities. So they all could be, already it's happening, but they all could be included through sports. They can get sense of community, and we can empower them by teaching them life skills, leadership skills. So that's how sports could be a great way to promote social inclusion. And that's what we saw when we were working with Football for Peace in South Korea. They were including North Korean children through sports in South Korean society. So yeah.
Yeah, that is of course through like promoting the peace building. Like, you know, when we were there, how the North Korean athletes, they marched together during the Pyeongchang Olympic Games, but that happened in the elite level. But to promote the peace between these communities, they actually send some of like kids to play and something like that. You are from India, sorry, in Pakistan, and the India and Pakistan, they have the war in Kashmir. So could you please explain like some of the sport for development and peace activities that maybe your country or maybe India undertaken to promote the peace, or maybe reduce the conflicts or the tension between these two countries? That will be a good example to the globe, Umair.
Well, I think they have used sports diplomacy in last maybe 50-60 years many times, and it helped really to improve bilateral relations. But it's also political problem. So every time we see a new government, things change, and that's what's happening right now also. Because of political tension, the relations are not very peaceful. But yeah, in future, I hope again through sports diplomacy we can change that. There could be community intervention, but I don't see that coming nearby. There could be community intervention between Pakistan and Indians, and that could help to understand each other and to integrate communities. But that's not happening soon. Maybe in another 50 years.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there are ups and downs. So for sure we can hope, or maybe like as a global sport manager, so maybe we can implement some real programs to make it happen in real. Sarah, can you share like some of your examples how there's SDP programs to be used to promote the peace building and conflict resolutions in the global south?
Yeah, sure, of course. So SD programs have been used to promote peace building and conflict resolution in several ways. But one of the really good examples that I read about it like a couple of days ago, one of the IOC young leaders for the cohort 21-24, and she's alpine skiing Olympian. Her name is Sofia, has launched her project, which is called Winds of Change. Okay, apart from the amazing name that I do love it, I got amazed by the project idea itself. So the goal for this project is to use sailing to bring together young people from conflict communities in Cyprus. Okay, so basically her project working on peace building by forming the first bicommunal Greek and Turkish Cypriot team to sail around the island. So I found it's very really insightful or inspiring to have kind of those projects worldwide, like spread the idea, promote for the idea, to promote for peace building and conflict resolution worldwide, not only in Cyprus, but everywhere. Yeah, that's it.
That's a great example. Maybe I also can add one more example, because, you know, in Sri Lanka, we came across the 30 years war. So I was born and I faced all these wars experience and everything. So soon after the war finished in 2009, you know, in Sri Lanka, so cricket is very famous. So what they have done it, there is an organization called Goodness of Foundation. They started a cricket match, the place where the war finished. Right? So they brought two communities, I would say like the Sinhalese and the Tamils communities. The war was between Sinhalese and Tamils over the 30 years. So they brought, because the thing is there is a gap. So how they can reduce the gap, or maybe they reduce their misunderstandings and everything. So they brought the people together through cricket, young people, not the elite athletes, the school level cricket athletes. They brought together, and every year they conduct the cricket tournaments. So then because the people, they love sports, they love cricket, they went to watch the match, then they made the friends. And now if you look at in Sri Lanka, for sure, you can ask any people. So between Tamils and Sinhalese, I would say like maybe in 2000, before 2009, the rate was maybe 90% tension. Now it will be like even less than 5%. In terms of the people, politicians is different. I'm talking about the general public, the thoughts or like how they are looking at Sinhalese. It's like all we are like Sri Lankans. So this sport has played a major role. When Sri Lankan team is going to play against maybe India or maybe other countries, we all like together. We don't support for another country, right? So this is how the sports is also playing a major role. Even the top level sports that's also bring the values to the general public or maybe minor communities to support together through the sports. That's a good point. So then in addition to that, so maybe I can raise the question at Taima. Yeah. So can you explain like how can the sports for development and peace programs to be used to promote the gender equality and to empower the women and girls in the global south? I'm sure like first of all, I want to say that like her voice is a little bit stuck today because she's sick, but she will be trying to explain her best. Sorry about it, Taima.
Good evening, everyone. Based on my personal experience as a football player, I'd like to say that programs that promote sports for development and peace can extremely effective in advancing gender equality and empowering women and girls in the global south. For girls and women, those programs like open up access to sports and physical activity, which has like positive effects on their health, mental health, and social life. These programs can enable girls and women to become leaders in their communities by involving men in the cause of gender equality and offering leadership opportunities. It's also very important to mention that safeguarding has become a crucial topic in sports. The IOC has taken a significant steps to address this issue, including the creation of the IOC Safeguarding Toolkit, which provides guidance and resources for sports organizations to prevent and respond to safeguarding issues. You know, guys, it's very important to have a safe area while you're practicing your favorite sport, especially for girls and women. So, to be honest, this step is really important.
Absolutely, Taima, that is very important. You know, as I mentioned you before as well, we have to create a safe environment to the people. So then only the female, they will come the front to play and involve in the sports activities. So there are so many activities or maybe projects are going to promote the safeguarding also through the sports for development and peace programs. In addition to the women empowerment and the gender equality, like how you can maybe like address or maybe explain more how sports for development programs it is promoting the youth development and their empowerment. Taima?
Let's say if we were like working in conjunction with local groups and communities is essential. Using this strategy, the programs could be adapted to the neighborhood's requirements, and community ownership and investment in the program's achievement are both guaranteed. Second, I think programs should work on capacity building by supplying local coaches and leaders with training and resources, because it will be possible for the program to continue long after external sponsorship has cased, because the community will have the necessary skills and knowledge. And I think for monitoring and evaluating the programs should be established to determine their effectiveness and point out areas that need improvement. Also, these like by putting these tactics into practice, like SDP programs can be made more long lasting and sure to keep promoting sorry, positive social change in the areas they work with.
Yeah, great Taima. I think like I want to hear from Sarah as well, because she's a International Olympic Committee's young leader. Like I think you can explain more also in addition to Taima's words, Sarah?
Yeah, sure. So actually, are we talking about the youth development and empowerment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, there is no single answer or like a correct answer to this question, as the use of SDP programs to promote youth development and empowerment will vary from place to another, as mentioned before. So based on the specific needs and context of each community. However, there's some general ways in which SDP programs can be used to empower youth in the global South, including one, I can consider it like 4 points. First point would be providing youth with access to education and training opportunities that can help them develop the skills they need to be productive members in their communities. Second point, I can say encouraging youth participation in decision-making, and this is a very important point in decision-making process, and giving them a voice in the development of their community. Third point is promoting youth-led initiatives that promote positive change in their community. And last but not least, providing mentorship and support to help youth develop their leadership skills. So this is actually what we are doing in IOC Young Leaders Program. They giving us, encouraging us and giving us like all what you can imagine in order to have like gain the what is called the leadership skills and working on our project in our society, so we can really have a development and empowerment within our society.
Absolutely. Like listening to Taima and Sarah, your conversation, like what I gain is, you know, by giving the safeguarding, they are developing the confidence. Okay, I have a confidence to go and play. So the confidence skill and the leadership skill. So these are the fundamental things that automatically inculcate among these the vulnerable group or maybe the women. So automatically they are empowered through the sports for development and peace programs. So that's the reason we are calling like a sports for development is a very, very, very primary promotional tool. But the thing is, like when we are talking about promote, like how media is promoting this sports for development piece, that is also in another way around. So we have to discuss about that. So the media man is here, Nation. He is working in the Kenyan National TV. He was working in the Kenyan National TV. Hopefully he will join after this Dream Together Master Program as well. Can you explain some like how media can play a main role in promoting the sports for development piece?
Okay. Thank you so much, Sigo. When you mention media, I get excited a little bit. So be free to stop me when I keep on going and going with relation to the media. So Sigo, the media really plays a big role in terms of whether an SDP program can succeed or not succeed. This is because of the position that the media holds in the society. Sometimes as media practitioners, we can either build a program or we can destroy a program. And how can we do this? We can do this by the information that we put outside there with relation to a program. As the media people, how we can help to support SDP program is to promote awareness of some of the SDP programs that are happening. The problem that sometimes when I was going to do interviews or when I was going to do stories, I would get people working within the SDP space always complaining. It's like, oh, you guys don't even cover our stories. You guys do not even cover our events. You guys don't talk about this and this and this and this. And it made me realize that as a media person, there's so much, or as the media, there's so much that you can do with relation to promoting awareness. You know, say for example, you know, bringing the founders of SDP, bringing the founders or people who are participating in such programs to do interviews. That way, people can know about these particular programs. The other way that the media can promote and enhance the SDP is acting as a conduit for funding and support. And how can the media do this? Is in terms of creating a perception or an image about a certain organization. Say, for example, if you create a good organization, a good image about Kafka, then it will be so much easier for Kafka to, say, for example, get funding from the government or for an NGO that is working within Pakistan. So the media has a very, very big role with relation to that particular direction. The other part, the other thing that the media can do is just providing coverage of events, that one I've already mentioned, and the other things is, I know technically sometimes such kind of organizations might have problems with relation to streaming their events or creating media material for their events and for their activities. So the media can really play a big role in highlighting that.
Great, great. As you said, most of the medias, they always highlighting the international events or maybe competitive event, but this is very important. They have to interview the people, those who are the experts playing the major role in promoting the sports for development peace program, so that we can spread the news among the general public, then why it is important, why we have to promote the sports for development and peace, and what we can do beyond these kind of programs as well. We can think of it. Then finally, today, when we were talking about that, everyone they all maybe blaming or maybe putting a comment on that there is no sustainability. So it is very important that we have to talk about the sustainability. So in this case, I think I want to bring 3 important speakers here to discuss about that one, because it's very critical topic, and we have to think in a very deep way that how the sports or development programs be made more sustainable over the long run period. So in this case, let me invite Taima first. Can you start?
Yeah, sure. Here, I'd like to share some, let's say, examples how the SDP programs can give young people a feeling of community and belong by creating secure environments where they can participate with meaningful connections with other young people. I think SDP programs can give young people the chance to take part, for example, in volunteering, to be more interacted with the community that they are living in, which will help them to be more active and to grow their communities. Also, I'd like to mention that many youth face many problems such as addiction to drugs and alcohol, and it's one of many difficulties that young people might face. It may negatively affect their life for sure, and this is because lack of activity can also contribute to health issues, not only the addictions, also obesity is something really important. So I think SDP programs should work on these these problems, because they also affected badly on the communities. And I think youth may also struggle with issues including social isolation, low self-esteem, and lack of confidence. And I think the programs should work on this part also, because with more confident, you'll have more youth, more well-being, more active people. They will of course grow their communities and grow themselves.
Thanks. Nashan, you want to add some more in addition to Taima's comment?
Yes. In terms of sustainability, one of the things that I think also Umair has already mentioned earlier is the fact that there needs to be an empowerment of people working within the space of SDPs, sorry. Sometimes people do not know what they're supposed to be doing, or sometimes they know what they're supposed to be doing, but they do not have the skills or the resources, to conduct certain roles and responsibilities. So it is important to empower individuals working within that particular space, so that the sustainability of SDP programs. And then the other thing that is very, very important is partnerships and collaborations. SDPs cannot work in isolation. There needs to be partnerships, say, for example, from the government, from the community, and from like-minded individuals working within that particular space. And then the last thing that I think can be really, really, really important is I think most of the SDP programs need to adopt a different model. I think the current model is in such a way that it is so much dependent on funding from donors, and sometimes apologies. I think one of the challenges with that particular model is everybody is at the discretion of donors. Say, for example, donors say they're not going to be funding your program this coming year. Then the SDP programs are not going to run. So there needs to be an adoption of a different model. Say, for example, if you're in a place that has large tracts of land that can be funded, then a better way to approach this particular issue is to see how you can tie income generating activities based on the resources that you have in that particular area. I'll give a very good example. Back home in my village, people can easily find mud to make pots. So what the organizations or the NGOs in that particular place have done, since employment is a problem back in the village, so they've tailored their programs to the point that they're now teaching people how to make pots from that particular environment. So I think that's a model that most of the SDPs can adopt, so that there is a lot of sustainability. Because at the end of the day, in as much as you might have a good idea in terms of what you want to do, finances are a very important part of that conversation, and there is need to find a solution to that particular problem.
Absolutely, Nashan. I think like in this case, when we are implementing some sports for development programs, it is very important that we have to always come up with a very good strategy plan about the funding, experts, and what kind of programs that we are going to implement, and expertise knowledge and their input is very, very important. Finally, let me bring Dandra for your input here as well, because it's very, very critical point that you have to conclude this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I shouldn't have talked about the finance of the SDP and the donors and stuff. So I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm going to talk. It was very clear, so there is no way I will elaborate again what Nashan has said, because as you said, Nashan, what I wrote is the same as yours. So maybe we shared note before. We don't know. So yeah, I think I came up with four aspects on how to sustain the SDP programs. The first one is goals and objectives. We, as an SDP practitioners, we have to assess the local needs in order to gain a better understanding of the pressing issues in the community. It is also important to be practical and identify the resources required to achieve the stated goals. We also have to maintain a focus on sustainability of the community as a whole. So, and then the other one, as Taima said, is the youth and the volunteering activities. So we can recruit and utilize community volunteers. We need to clarify the roles and responsibilities of volunteers and align them with the needs of the community. And the last one is to include primary community actors such as parents, senior community members, and key community organization in the volunteer planning and management process. I was the product of Generations for Peace, where Amer is volunteering in Jordan. So it was I was the volunteers of Generations for Peace in Indonesia. So by that, it was very benefited for us actually. So we as the volunteers, we continue what the Generation for Peace Indonesia have been doing without any support, without any financial support. So that was one of the example. And then the third one is we need to also be very aware of the tensions and conflicts that may arise during the sustaining of the SDP programs. We can maintain local autonomy to avoid manipulation by organizations outside of the community, such as political groups and sponsors. Power relations that may disrupt community objectives should be identified and avoided. And the last one, promote community awareness and meaningful democratic relations that place the needs of the community first. And the last one, as Nashan also said, it's a partnership and collaboration. It's important that we collaborate with the community actors, such as parents and youth, such like the Norwegian Olympic Community collaborate with Lawrence organization. That's very important. Collaborate with SDP organization whose objectives are aligned with the community goals. Partnership with the local clubs and sponsor must be genuine and based on community goals. So there is no other importance. Like you only want to implement SDP programs. That's all. You don't want to take some money. You don't want to do anything. Just be genuine. I think that's very important. So yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
that's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the speakers. Like it was a very fantastic discussion on 5 different topics in the global South context. So the speakers, if you want to share anything that maybe during the conversation from other speakers, you may want to share anything, you can share it, please. Just maybe 1 or 2 minutes I can give you. Just you can open your microphone and you can speak, no problem, if you want to share anything. Or maybe like, yeah, please, who wants? So there are like a couple of questions or maybe the comments. I can just quickly read it on the social media. They publish it. There's a lot of things are wishes here. Yeah, so all comments are here actually. And one question is here from Israt Ali. Maybe like one of you can answer for this one. It's not really a big questions. I think Umair can answer for this question. Is there any education program related to sport and peace in Pakistan Institute to spread awareness? Umair?
Well, there are several programs. I can mention a few. For example, Right to Play is working in Pakistan. They are empowering young people. British Council did a project, and we Kafka is working in Pakistan on the topic. And there are several other programs, Special Olympics also. So yeah, there are opportunities if anyone wants to engage.
Okay. Great. So one more question from, I think, Zambia, to my friend Laurie. How can one go about launching sports or development and peace program in heavily politicized environments? It's a very critical question. Laurie, you want to take the floor?
Right. I think that one, it's a very critical question indeed, but actually it can be answered by what we have been saying. You know, I mean, every point that I'm going to say probably has been said by one of the speakers. Like I talked about engaging in advocacy and lobbying with policymakers. It's another tool that you can use when it comes to like a heavily politicized environment. Also, it is important to build a strong evidence base, collect and use a robust evidence to demonstrate that the effectiveness and impact of your programs, how are they? Because, you know, as I think Nashon mentioned regarding like most of the funds are coming from NGOs, and some of the NGOs have some agendas. I don't know if you understand that part. Some NGOs have some agendas which they might try to bring behind. So it is very critical to make sure that you have evidence that your program that you want to do is only meant for sports for development and nothing else. And also, I think it's important to understand your political environment, and it differs from place to place. Build a coalition and a partnership with relevant stakeholders, community leaders, civil society, etc. So it is very important to just wrap up like that.
Thank you. Thank you. If anyone wants to add in addition to Laurie's comment? Dandra? You want it? All right. Okay. So thank you very much. I think. Yes,
Sigo, just a minute.
Yes, please. You can. Sure.
I just wanted to add on that part of NGOs having an agenda. You know, Just to interject on that, sometimes as members running SDPs, it's important to understand the reason why you're running an SDP, because if you do not understand that, if you don't understand that, then it is very easy for you to flow with the agenda of the NGOs. And sometimes the way the NGOs are going might be against what you really want to do, and you might be in opposite direction. So it's important to understand which direction you're going, so you do not get flowing with what is going on with relation to the funders of your program.
Okay, great. Then finally, some of the audience, they may asking about the sports for development and peace courses. I think Derek or Chawe, like who is also the 4th batch graduate from the Dream Together Master, is very much interested into this kind of topics as well. He share a couple of links maybe here. So that will be very helpful, whoever the people, those who are interested in following some courses related to the sport for development piece. Thanks, Derek, for joining us.
Derek. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Sigom. Yes, Derek has a course in Sustaining Sport for Development and Peace program from Norwegian School of Sports Science. He holds the course. So if you're interested, just go to their website, nih.no. So yeah.
Great, great. I think that's the end of this session. Let me thank the audience, those who join us for this session and ask these questions. Especially my sincere thanks to the speakers, those who contributed their knowledge and their experience and their research outputs also here. Especially the speakers are from Korea to Canada. So my sincere thanks to the Korean the South Korean students, those who are staying in South Korea, but they are from the different countries like Palestine, Zambia, and Kenya. So now it's almost like at 2:30 in the morning. Sorry, you have examination tomorrow. All the best. And let me conclude this session and wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sigo.